Hey guys, what's up? This is Pants Art Dragon, and today we're doing the top 5 best top laners for our solo queue. This video will be very special since I'll be doing a giveaway with some of my friends, and what we're giving away is $25 RP cards times 4, along with a RAZER Deathstalker Chroma keyboard. There will be a total of 5 winners, and the way to get entries to this giveaway is by subscribing to my friends Sunny Explosion, Paquito, Gaming Curios, Professor Milk, and Ross Boomsocks. Each subscribe will give a total of plus 3 entries, and if you retweet the tweet, it'll give you plus 4. But make sure to use the Gleam link in the description below, as that's the only way to get entries to this giveaway. And with all that being said, let's get started. Okay, so at number 5 is gonna be Riven. Okay, so she got bumped up in the tier list because someone else came into the tier list and she basically kicked out Garen for that. Even though Garen is one of her counters, of course, but that's a different story. Either way, only player if you actually know how to play this champion and know all the combos and what to do in certain situations. Otherwise, if you're like me who doesn't understand her laning phase and can only play her in the jungle, you're better off with other champions. Next up is going to be Fiora. So always banned in champion select, no one wants to deal with her. Incredible laning phase, very hard to duel with all that lifesteal, and incredibly good in skirmishes and chasing down targets. If her ultimate procs, it basically wins you the team fight since the healing is like a Janna Monsoon. But just think the Janna was a solo lane and was AP. Oh yeah, she's also really hard to gank too with her W and Q. But since the last tier list, she is going to be bumped up again because someone else is coming into this tier list. Next up is going to be Aurelia. I'm not sure when this champion is going to get nerfed, but yeah, she hasn't been touched for the longest time. I guess there was that one time they touched her E and lowered the base damage, but still instead of nerfing Aurelia, they decided to nerf Maokai, but that's because they focus on nerfing for competitive play and not solo queue. And of course, Maokai is just really good for competitive play and picked in a lot of team comps. Wait, why am I talking about Maokai? It should be about Aurelia. Anyways, if Aurelia has the Dead Man's Plate, I feel like she can definitely go into the enemy squishies very easily. One thing I do notice is that she's kind of falling off flavor, at least in North America. I haven't seen an Aurelia player except for Aurelia Carries You for a really long time, and no one bans her, but I think she's still popular in EU. Either way, let's move on to the next champion, which is going to be Darius. So Darius right now is super strong ever since they hotfixed him and gave him some buffs to his Q, making him restore 15% of his missing health instead of 10%, and increasing the base damage of it. And also in this patch, they buffed his W by making it restore 50% of its cooldown and full mana on kill. So now he just has an easier time in laning phase where he can use his W to last hit under tower. And basically all these buffs meant better team fighting, better late game, etc. and literally makes him an unstoppable beast after the laning phase. His laning phase is kinda shitty or average, but his mid game and late game is god tier, and if you can make it through the laning phase and either come out even or ahead, you're definitely going to be one of the biggest threats on your team, and you can probably carry if you're ahead. But yeah, basically just don't get shit on the laning phase and you're good to go. And finally, number 1 is going to be Bank Bank. So the cast time in between his barrels is increased by 0.25 seconds, and there's 10% less armor penetration on his barrels. So it went from 60% to 50%, which isn't a big deal to squishies, and even then it's not too big against tanks. So maybe 25 less damage against squishies and 100 damage less against tanks, I don't know. But those barrels plus your Q will do 600 or 700 damage, so it's not that big of a deal. It also still has utility by slowing the enemies for 2 seconds. And if you're a top laner watching this video, once you understand the mechanics of his barrel and how to play this champion, you should definitely pick him up and play him in rank because he's really strong at the moment and he's definitely one of the banned champions in solo queue. This champion is probably going to get a nerf to his barrels somehow, but who knows what they're going to plan out in the future. Finally, going to be doing some honorable mentions, and first up is going to be Rumble. They nerfed his ultimate cooldown, but he still has Leandries and stuff, so in that sense he's good. But there are better champions than Rumble at the moment. Alright, next up is going to be Olaf, and in the top lane, I see this champion being played by a lot of players. I don't know what the fuck goes on in the top lane because I'm playing jungle or Soraka or Mordekaiser. But somehow I just always see Olaf just shitting on their laner, snowballing on people who don't know how to play top lane, and I can only guess that he's just all laning the enemy with his Q and running at them. I also don't think I've ever seen an Olaf lose his lane before, so I'm kinda biased on this one, but that's why I kinda left him in honorable mentions, since I don't really understand what the hell is happening in that top lane. His late game sucks because his damage basically falls off, so don't get to that point. Next up is going to be Yasuo, and I've been seeing him a lot, or I've just been facing this one guy who plays him Yasuo anywhere, except like, you know, AD carry and jungle and stuff. But yeah, people are building Trinity Force after their Static Shiv instead of like Infinity Edge on him. Apparently there's this like split pushing build where you should build Trinity Force, and then like it apparently has really good synergy with him because, you know, he can spam his spells a lot. The Phage gives him a lot of movement speed, and he's already like building percent movement speed. And yeah, it's just like the split push Yasuo build coming into the top lane. Even some mid lane Yasuos are building this too and just going split pushing in the mid game and late game, and just giving him a lot of things that he needs. But overall, Infinity Edge is apparently better for team fights. But yeah, it's just like this weird innovative thing that I see people doing with Yasuo and Trinity Force. So I just want to mention that out. Also, people are building Trinity Force on Vayne, which is like super interesting again. And then next up is going to be Garen. So he got nerfed this patch. He didn't receive actually a lot of nerfs. It was just like movement speed nerfs on his Q and his base movement speed. And both moved down by like 5, so it's not the end of the world. And if I were to put him in a tier list, he'd probably be number 6. Next up is going to be Lulu, and yeah, I mean, I've seen her a lot in patch 5.14 or whenever she got nerfed, and afterwards she was still being played. I just never really mentioned her because, well, I don't know, I just kind of forgot about her and forgot to put her in a tier list, so I'm putting her right now for safety's sake. And like, people are actually building Rod of Ages on her at the moment, so that's something interesting to note, and I guess it covers, you know, her mana costs. Next up is Lissandra, and I only saw her like once being played as a mid laner by Alex Hitch, but I know a lot of other players are playing her in the top lane, and I do feel like that's kind of where she belongs at the moment. But you know, I guess she's like, but yeah, anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time.
Shake that.
In the club, party rock. Looking for your girl, she on my jock, huh? Now stop when we in the spot. Booty moving weight like she on the block. With a drink, I got to know.